but people know me as an obsessive Ranger fan. Just like you, because that's why you are here. But you are not here to see me, and I'm not taking up any more of the time, only to guide this fabulous event, thanks to Steiner Sports. Let's give a hand for Steiner Sports. Okay, as for our guest tonight, let us start with, I'm just going to say his name. He speaks for himself. Number 30, Henrik Lundqvist. Here. See? And next, what can you say other than saying he helped the Rangers win the Stanley Cup in 1994, Mike Richter? Whoa. Wait a minute. The hands, you've lost it? What happened? You almost knocked something over there. Okay. Sorry, I'm letting out my New York accent for you. Let's just talk with, people don't know, I also played goaltender, so, I know what it's like. But I don't know what it's like playing goalie for the New York Rangers and what that means compared to playing for Toronto, Montreal, whatever. I'm going to start with Mike because he's older.
This is when you really miss Eddie.
Mike, talk about what you go through, because I think of it as it's a pressure-packed position as it is, and then add the fact that you're playing for the New York Rangers. Explain to people, what's that like?
Well, I think anybody plays sport, they like the challenge, right? And the position of goaltender has almost everything you want in sport. You're part of a team, which is awesome. I mean, I watch tennis players, and it'd be so much fun to win Wimbledon. But to win a championship, to win a game when there's 20 other guys is unbelievable. You get to experience it with those other people throughout your career and throughout a season and even in one game. It's just amazing. You think about what New England Patriots are going through right now, just because they're sharing it with the guys that they work so hard with. So you have that aspect. But at the same time, Henrik, right, you are off on your own. You're in your own little world. If you see coaches are just like, hey, let the guy alone, let him save the puck, and don't talk to him. So you have a game within a game. So for the position of goaltender, I think it's unbelievable. You have the best of all worlds. You were on your own. You have this specific task that you have to do, which is part of a bigger thing. And that's fantastic. So I guess to answer the second part of your question, to play anywhere in the NHL is a privilege and an amazing thing. But to play in New York, I mean, it's a great international city. Can you imagine Henrik Lundqvist playing in, well, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but anywhere else? It's an international city with great fans, the best. And so I think I wouldn't call it particular pressure in New York. If you're a good athlete, you hold yourself to a standard. And the people of New York hold you to that standard, so that shouldn't be anything new. And they come and they support you, and that's what you want.
Yeah, and Hank, and just like Mike, both of you have never played professionally anywhere else than in New York, and I'm sure you've had conversations with other netminders to see what the difference is compared. Now, why is New York a perfect fit for you, Hank?
Well, that's a good question. I think coming here, I was ready for a big change. Growing up in Sweden, it was so different. The pace is just slower, not as many people watching you play, or even just every day in your life when you're in the city walking around. It's just a different feeling. So coming here, I was prepared for the change, but also I realized I love pressure. And Mike talked about being a goalie. You play under a lot of pressure, but especially in a city where it means so much to so many people. If you don't enjoy that, it's going to be tough. And I think you see it in all sports, especially in New York, that players that become even better under pressure and enjoy that moment, I think they have a better chance of having a good career.
When did you first realize that that's what you wanted to do, that you love the pressure, that you fed off the pressure, that you must be a goaltender?
Well, when you're a kid, you don't think about pressure. You just want to have fun. You just want to go out there and stop the shots.
Right.
And I spent so many hours with my friends, my brother playing hockey, and it was the best. It was the best feeling to be out there together, like you said, with with your best friends playing a sport you really enjoyed. And then when you start to get older, expectations start to come in the picture, and people start to expect more from you as a player and as a person, and that's when pressure starts to come in as well. My last 4 or 5 years in Sweden, I start to deal with that, playing for Team Sweden, but also for the pro team in Gothenburg. So then coming to New York, I felt like I was prepared for the next step of dealing with that. But again, as a kid, thinking back of when I decided to be a goalie, you definitely didn't think about pressure. And now seeing my closest friends, their family, or even my mom, I mean, she's so nervous all the time when I play. Every game, she's like, oh my God, I can't deal with the pressure. And sometimes I feel bad for them, what they go through.
Look what you've put your mother through.
Yeah, I know. And it's, especially in the playoffs,
Right.
it's intense.
Oh, that goes another level. How about you, Mike? I mean, when did you realize that, you know what, forget being a doctor and a lawyer, I want to be a professional goaltender?
Yeah, I played all sports when I was a kid, but I loved playing hockey the most. I had 2 older brothers, so I think you hear that a lot. It was a chance for me to play just more because they needed a goalie, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was outside on a frozen pond or, my brother, quite a bit older than me, in a beer league, they needed a goalie, and I'd take a nap, I'd get up, I'd play at 11 o'clock, and couldn't go over to the keg. That was for them. But I mean, you just had more opportunity because you played this very specific position without which you can't have a game. So, play net, and I loved it. I could play with the young guys, I could play with the old guys, and we're all fans to begin with, and you're a fan when you play, and you're a fan when you're done. And I watched Henrik out there, and he looks like he's having fun. There is pressure, but you have to love the game, or else you couldn't put up with that. In the end, you miss winning, you miss the team, you just miss the chance to go out there and even practice. It's a fun sport to play. I mean, you give a kid a puck and some skates, and they're going to love it once they start to get the hang of it. So I don't think that ever changes, whether there's pressure or not.
Yeah, it's no question. Playing goalie is a fun sport to play, but it's also can be very terrifying and scary. And as all you Ranger fans know, we saw something very scary to watch, even seeing a video just a few days ago that happened to you when a puck hit you in the throat. It was a freak kind of accident where Ryan McDonagh, the captain, his stick got up and lifted your mask up just big enough to let a puck go and hit you on the throat. Can you share with us what that experience was like?
Well,
Right. You wanted to hear it.
well, let's put it this way. Playing goalie is tough, but playing it blindfolded is even tougher. And that's pretty much what happened. I didn't see anything. The mask came up, and then I kind of reached up a little bit to kind of follow that motion of the mask, and then I get hit in the same, or a second later, and it was extremely painful. But I think after a few seconds, when I can feel like I'm breathing, and I know, okay, in the next couple of minutes here, I just need to regroup a little bit and see if I can do this, if I can play.
Was it adrenaline that kept you in there and said, I'm not leaving the net because, the crowd at MSG gave
Well,
you
I think in that moment, there's 2 things.
Yeah.
One, you want to compete. I want to play. And it's going to be tough to take me off. But then you start thinking about, okay, I can't jeopardize the team here. I don't want to be out here if I can't do my job and stop the shots that I need to stop. So that's where you need to start thinking about, okay, what's best for us here to win this game. But after a few 4 or 5 minutes, I feel like, okay, let's try and go for it. And the first 5-6 minutes, it was tough. It was very lightheaded, and the focus was not what it used to be. But then slowly started to come back, and it was a fun game to play too. There was a lot of chances, and building was great, so
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
It's not like after you got hit. You certainly didn't have an easy time after you got hit, too. I mean,
No.
the team could have gave you a break and got to get the puck away from you.
They wanted to see how I was going to respond.
Exactly, Mike. You've been in that situation, Mike, as well. I mean, talk to me. What was the most scariest thing that's ever happened to you playing goal? Was it an incident like that? We know you've had the concussion.
Yeah. I think that the throat is probably the most vulnerable spot, maybe the second most vulnerable spot. We won't talk about the first one.
We'll leave it up to our imagination.
Yeah, no, but I mean, really, it's you. the equipment's come such a long way. I mean, I talked to John Davidson, who used to be here, and he said, we'd have basically a small pillow and then a little cup on the end. And you see, the goalie had so much fear, and you see the old goalies would throw their legs at things now, and the equipment is better, but you can't avoid it. You need the mobility, and when some freak thing like that happens, that's not a bruise you can just overcome with will. I mean, that's your windpipe. So it's the scariest part of playing the game. So it was pretty impressive that he was able to kind of shake that off and go right back, because you get hit high like that, it's easy to be on your heels a little bit, and he got right back into it quickly. So I think you see the size of the players out there now, and the strength, and everybody's well trained. I mean, I am not out of the game that long, but I'm a midget compared to the goalies now, and it just gets bigger and stronger and faster and more skilled. So I think there's probably more physical fear for the forwards and defensemen. That's a lot of meat running into each other out there. For a goalie, I think you can actually, a lot of it is emotional. You're putting yourself on the line every night. And if you have a high standard, like we have here, there's a longer way to drop. So an average game for Henrik, in my opinion, is very, very high, but he holds himself to a very high standard. Wayne Gretzky said that. He said, as my career went on, I wasn't being judged against other players. I was being judged against Wayne Gretzky the whole time. And as you age, it's tougher to do that. So, that's what makes a great player great, is answering that bell each time. So I think sometimes, there's fear. There's fear of probably not measuring up more than anything else. I didn't think I had much physical fear.
It's a great point you bring up about comparing when you played, Mike, and now it's been over 20 years since '94 when you won the Cup.
Amazing.
And to now, Henrik, about how you play and what goalies have to deal with. I mean, just the last game, just last night, you were involved, and there were several collisions. They're like, exactly, Mike, like 250-pound guys just sliding into you, and you have to either jump out of the way. And I want to hear from both of your sides. How has the game changed when it comes to keeping the goaltender safe compared to when you play and how you play now? I mean, you've seen video when he's played, so that kind of thing.
Well, I think one big difference today is the equipment. We are well protected, and it is a physical game. It's a fast game, so injury's going to happen. That's just part of it. But
it's faster now, though, right? I mean,
it is faster. The technology is a lot better for skates and sticks, and comparing shots now. It's a tough game to play, but thinking back of when Mike played and even earlier than that, with less equipment. The puck was still hard. And that hurt.
That's not deflated.
It's exactly. And you really need to, be gutsy and have confidence going out there, knowing that this might hurt. I feel today going out, I feel well protected, and at least that part of it is not, something I have to worry about. Even though, a couple of games ago I did get hurt, but. Again, it's such a quick game that it will happen sometimes.
I want to talk about your respective runs to the Stanley Cup final. And Michael, I'll go with you. And what was take us back to that time. The biggest challenge from game to game, from series to series. Maybe take us inside, us fans. What is that like from a goalie's mind, and how did you stay focused?
Well, I think for a goaltender, it's sometimes easier in the playoffs because everybody is dialed in, right? This is the tough time of year to play sometimes. Beginning of the year, everybody's excited, you're in shape, it's a new season, get going, new beginning. Come January, February, they can be the dog days of the season. They're very important points. There's not one game that isn't important nowadays. It used to be, 16 teams make it to be one of the, teams that's not there, and they're scratching and clawing. Last year's 5 teams within 3 points for most of the run. I mean, it's so competitive, so that you can't give up an inch. But this time of year can be a little bit less. Guys get injured, get tired, weird things happen. Once the playoffs come, though, it's a new season, and everybody's so focused in because they know it's either produce or you're gone. And I like that aspect of it. I think the coolest part about hockey in particular is that journey, right? I mean, when you get to the finals like you were in last year, that's a lot of games, that's a lot of time, that's a lot of effort, and you are doing nothing. You are sleeping, you're eating, you're playing, you're sleeping, you're eating, you're playing, and that's it. You just focus. And so by the time the finals come around, I mean, you are just like, you look in the mirror one day and you go, holy shit, it's June, what happened, you know? And it's...
How was spring, folks?
Yeah. And it's a good thing, right? That's what you want to be doing. That's what you're paid to do, and that's what you've been, dreaming about doing your whole life. And I think just that sharing, back to what your original question was, you're sharing that with your friends and your teammates. They become your family. You're spending more time with those guys than you are your family. I mean, you are on planes, you're in the arena, you're there all the time, and the team has emotion that goes up and down. You can't predict it, but you're going to hit controversy. You're going to hit challenges. And, you ask what's the hard part is just overcoming them. They're going to come in different forms. Could be an injury, could be poor play by your best player, whatever it is. You got to overcome it because it's a sprint and a marathon.
And you know what? I mean, for both of you, it's interesting. The runs, you both dealt with adversity. You both were like, you like against the Devils, obviously this close to like see ya, and you against the Penguins, being down the way you guys were, and you rallied back, to be able to go to the Eastern Conference Final against the Canadiens, and then to be able to, overcome that. And how, of course, you guys rallied around Marty St. Louis and the passing of his mom. Talk to me about that, how to deal with the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Playing the sport, it's a roller coaster of emotions. And you feel it during the regular season. It's a long grind, but it's also a lot of fun. Going into the playoffs, it just gets, whatever you felt during the regular season, you feel more during the playoffs. You feel more pressure, you feel more excited. Everything that you wish for this game, why you play this game, you feel it during the playoffs. And when you win big games at home, it's just such a big rush that I don't think I can compare it to anything in my life, when it comes to that feeling of just adrenaline and feel like you accomplished something when you win a big game like that, or maybe you move on to the next round. And doing it together with your close friends and great people. It's just a lot of fun to be part of.
Every time I talk to like one of the New York Rangers, either the past or the present, they always say, there's nothing like playing at Madison Square Garden. And I'm like, really? It's that different than playing anywhere else? Yes, it's just amazing. Why is it so different and amazing?
Well, I think the fans they're honest. And,
It's gonna be a good thing or a bad thing.
But it keeps you on your toes, because if I give up a few, I will hear a few.
Give me a story. When did you first realize, what did I get myself into with this
The
group?
first time was the first time I walked into the building as an 18-year-old. Actually, first time I met you.
Tell me the story.
Exactly. I was drafted the year before. I came over to New York just to see and learn, how things were working over here. And it was the last game of the season, and you were hurt. So they brought me down. It's like, Mike Richter, she said, you want to say hello? And I was kind of shy. I was like, I don't know. It's like, get in here. And they brought me into the room. You were standing. You were so nice. And it was a great moment to get to talk to you. And I remember after the game, the crowd booed the team off the ice. So I was standing there, like, oh my God, is this where I'm going to play one day? But it was also,
That's great.
inspiring to see, like, okay, if you play here, you better, you have to work hard. And I could feel that early on too when I started playing here, that when you do have success and you do show up and leave it all out there, you get so much back that it's a great feeling. But I like the fact that you have to be on your toes all the time, and that's definitely a good thing.
I agree. Actually, the first time I came to MSG, I was on the national team. We were going over to play in Finland, and I came up, and it was Anders Hedberg was with the Rangers, and he took us out, and we're watching the game. It was the last game of the year. Glennie Hanlon was playing, and you kind of hear this roar behind you, and you're like, what the? And there's a brawl. I mean, a brawl in the stands. People are, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And everybody's just like, the game's going on. They're like, kill him. And like 3 people are just throwing haymakers everywhere. I'm just like, oh my God, this place is insane. It was the first time I'd been in New York, but it was just like, Just like Henrik said, though, there's so much energy, and what New York does have is excellence in every walk of life. I mean, the ballet, the financial district, arts, everything, and so they expect that of everything, whether it's the mayor or the guy collecting trash, and they let you know when you don't do well, but they're there when you do well. So, you know, I know other people have come here and said, you know, God, how do you play there? And you just think, well, how do you play anywhere else? Because it is amazing. You know, I've never been in Madison Square Garden where it's not a full house. I don't understand it.
Go to a Knick game.
Yeah. Moving on. No, but I remember talking to some other guys in the league and saying, don't you hate playing in Jersey? I go, no, that place is insane. He's like, what are you talking about? There's 7,000 people there. I'm like, no, it's full. Like, that's because they're Ranger fans there. So, you know, I mean, when Dallas comes in, it's not as many people, but it's Ranger fans. And same thing, you go to Washington, D.C. We were in the playoffs that year in Washington. And there's Ranger fans all over the place. They're getting, let's go Rangers. He's just like, wow, it's amazing. So that's why. I think there's that energy, as Henrik said.
Yeah, that's got to be great. One more, and then we'll take questions from the audience. Because I notice that, too. Now, I go different arenas and watching you guys, and Ranger fans do travel well. Do you find that?
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. It's such a great feeling.
They own Florida, by the way, when they play the Panthers. That's like
I was surprised. We're out west in L.A., Anaheim, San Jose. There's so many Ranger fans. You walk
What's
out.
that like? It's great, right?
It's really cool.
It's a cool feeling. Walking out to warm-ups and you see them there so excited. As a player, you get excited. Yeah. When you see they're excited, how can you not get excited? You know,
they're usually not shy about it either, right? They're wearing their stuff.
Oh, yeah. They're ready to go in warm-ups. And you're like, okay, you know, you play for yourself. You play for your teammates. But you also play for a lot of fans that care about the team. So when you do travel around the U.S. and you see them everywhere and so excited about what we're doing, you know, that's an awesome feeling.
It's awesome. Well, you guys have been awesome. But now we need questions from the audience. And I see a light, so I'm just going to hand it over to you guys because we can't see you. We have someone taking questions, right? Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Boys, Mike, first of all, thanks very much for 1994. Sure. I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else does. My question is for Henrik. You've had the opportunity to play under Coach John Tortorella and Alain Vigneault. Easy. Without getting too specific, A, could you describe the difference in their coaching styles? And B, if I can attribute your recent success over the past 2 seasons to Coach Vigneault.
Well, they're very different how they coach, both the style on the ice, but also in the locker room, how they carry themselves, how they talk to the players. And my first couple of years, I had Tom Rennie. So for all the coaches I have, you learn from them, and I appreciate, you know, their different styles. Torch was tough. He was really tough, but he was very honest. He let you know right away what was wrong, and he challenged you. He challenged me a bunch of times where I really felt like, wow, he's helping me grow as a player and as a person, and that you appreciate that. When AV came in, and it was a totally different side of a coach. It was maybe a little more European style, where more talking, maybe less screaming, but he's very smart, and sometimes hard to read, which is good. I think it's good when you have a coach that, you know, you can't be too comfortable all the time. You gotta make sure you're on your toes all the time, but I think the biggest difference, though, is how they want us to play on the ice, in our own end. And I feel like we're right now playing with a lot of speed, great puck movement, and it's really helping the skill that we have on our team. So, you know, it's been fun, though, to play under different coaches because, like I said, you learn from them, and they're different sides.
Do you guys feel safe when Ryan McDonagh and Brian Leetch are in front of you guys?
Wow. You know, she's got a point at times.
I'm actually frightened when he's not. I need him now. I can answer for Brian. He was such a complete player that, I look back in my career, and it's not a coincidence that I had a lot of success when he was around, whether it was on the Olympic team or wherever. I played a lot with Brian from the time that we were in just basically high school, and I rode his coattails an awful lot. Great player. Yeah, so he was a great comfort in a lot of ways.
Well, as a goalie, you need the support of great defensemen. There's no way you can have success if you don't have the support, if you don't have the understanding of, how we play, and we try to understand what they like to do out there. And what's been great for me is that we now, we have a bunch of guys that play for a lot of years, and they're signed up for 4, 5, 6 more years. Yeah. So I have an opportunity to play with the same core group of defensemen for my entire career, which is very rare, and very happy and blessed for that opportunity.
Yeah, McDonagh, Girardi, Stahl all signed long term, which
Really
is
cool.
great.
Yeah.
Very significant.
Over here.
Hi. How do you guys stay focused? How is it so focused? I know we saw like a close-up of Henrik, your eyes, like on the goals, like, yeah, like amazing. So I know there's more to it than just talent and, just practice. There's something else. And what is that?
Start? Well, yeah, I'm actually curious to hear what Henrik says, because I think that's... I have no idea. I'm retired. I haven't focused in 10 years. I mean, how the hell I got down here. No, I will say, I think that's the most important part of being a goaltender. You look across the league, and 30 teams, 2 goalies on each team. There's not a bad athlete in a bunch. They're big, they're well-conditioned, they're well-trained skill-wise. But what separates the best from the good guys is what's between their ears. So if you have a forward and you say you have to work hard, what does that mean? It means they have to skate hard, they have to pass hard, they might have to fight. If you have a goalie and you say work hard, what does that mean? Stop the puck harder? No. It means you have to focus. And that is what separates everybody. And that means you have to have a very, very short memory. If the guy came down and just lit you up for 2 goals, and he's coming down again, you better forget about the 2 and save the next one. I think Henrik's exceptional about that. You can have a great game, but it doesn't matter if your next game isn't. You can make a great save, but if the next one you let in, so you better focus in the present moment. I think it really comes down to that more than anything else. It's just not worrying about the past. It's over. Can't do anything about the future. What are you doing right now? That's it.
I agree. And the funny part is that there's different ways to get there. I'm extremely intense game day. For me, it's all about preparation. But then you have guys that are a lot more relaxed. They talk a lot more, and they're just 10 minutes before they go out, they get ready. But for me, it's a process of getting there mentally. And I've been doing the same things for probably 13, 14 years, and I feel comfortable doing the things I'm doing, and it's helping me just relax under pressure. I think it's about dealing with the pressure you put on yourself, but also the pressure you feel from the outside. And then really what it comes down to is making the right decision under pressure extremely fast. And when you're on it, you're making the right decisions all the time. Instead of going down, I'm standing up, I'm going to my right because I know the pass is going there. So, being clear in your head, that's everything for us.
Sure. Hey, hi. Take us back to '94, Game 4, Stanley Cup Finals. Pavel Bure gets awarded that penalty shot. What is going through your head between him getting awarded it and then him taking that puck and skating right down on you? Like, what was going through your head? And Lundqvist, put yourself in that exact spot that he was in. Because both of you guys have different styles. He always came right out. He would go right at the top of the crease, and Lundqvist is different. He stays deep. Like, how would you have handled Pavel Bure?
Well, I'll start. I'll just tell you what I was thinking. I didn't think it was a penalty shot. I mean, he was hooked from behind. I was surprised he called a penalty shot there. You see less of them now with the shootouts. You just see more of those one-on-one battles, so it's a little bit more rare. And Pav was, a very, very fast skater at the time and a good pure goal scorer. The guy had a great shot, and he knew where to go. He had scored in that series and leading up through in the playoffs. He was, really hot, and he ended up coming to New York, and I think, you always see the picture of him saving him, but he had lit me up a few times before that. So that's the only one we remember. It's perfect. But the thing about him is he has so much speed, you just have to honor that. If you come too far out and don't match his speed, you're done. If you stay back, he can shoot. And like all good players, they have options. And at the time, Esa Tikkanen was giving me a rundown of all of his strengths. And I was like, are you kidding me? He's just like, hey, he likes to shoot the puck. Sometimes he dekes. He's got this crazy accent. Crazy. I'm just like, just somebody take him away. And so we could focus. And that's really, I just figured I'd play him honestly. You can't go in there saying, look, he always goes to the backhand, because that might be the one time he doesn't. And he's going to come with speed. He did. And I was able to stay with him as long as possible and be patient, and I was able to get him on that one. So it was, you have to play a great player, honestly. I think with an Ovechkin or something like that nowadays, for God's sakes, they have a lot in their bag.
You know what comes to mind when I think of that and what the pressure you faced? I remember I was at that first Winter Classic game, Flyers, Rangers, and the refs decided for no reason to give Danny Briere a penalty shot on you that would decide the game, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, we're all like, it was crazy. And that's what sort of like equated, because it was a big national spectacle. It was before the NHL was holding 20 outdoor games a year.
Yeah.
And that moment, what was that like? I mean, you're outside.
It's awesome.
It was just like, the game is on the line.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to focus. Again, you have to stay in the moment. You have to, what am I doing here? I'm stopping that shot. I'm not thinking about consequences there. If you start thinking about what happens if I save it, what happens if he scores, then right away you start losing the focus of what do I need to do here?
Right.
So stay in the moment. That's so important when things like that happen. And sometimes it's tough when they call a penalty shot, because you have 30 seconds before it's time. A lot of times when you play the game, things happen so fast you don't have time to think. So it's just a reaction. But in that moment, he's skating around waiting for the ref. You're standing there waiting, and it's like your head is just going crazy. So you try just to stay calm. It's like, I'm going to stop that puck. That's it.
Do you wish the NHL got rid of the shootouts, by the way? Or do you love them? Because I know you excelled in them several seasons. You've excelled in them more often than you haven't excelled. But just throwing that out there, because that's the talk,
When I win, I love him. It's the best feeling. As a goalie, you play such a big part on it.
Yeah.
But when you lose, it's the same thing. You play such a big part that you feel responsible, and it's tough. But I love the fact that you have a winner. End of the day, you work so hard for 2 hours, and it's a good feeling to know that you had a chance to win the game.
Right.
Hey guys, how you doing? If you can you share a teammate or per se the biggest prankster you guys may have played with during your time, and who probably gave you a little razzing or really get you going from a teammate perspective?
I think good teams have to have those type of guys. And honestly, there is a lot of pressure in the locker room, and to have somebody that allows you to laugh, it's the best stress breaker there is. And we, in that 94 team, I think back and you just go right down the locker room. It seemed like everybody at some point was a clown, like just funny. You're always going to have your intense guys. You're always going to be intense yourself. Everybody's got to get serious at some point. But there are those guys that just lighten up the locker room, and we had a lot on that team. I mean, you would go out to dinner and everybody would just sit around listening to stories. And, one of the best guys, Glennie Healy was so damn funny. Nick Kiprios. I mean, I think half the team I would put in that category. There's always something happening. So we were never short on entertainment, and they were good people too. They knew when to get serious, but you have to have the ability to laugh sometimes. And I can't even think, right now off the top of my head, it was just, I still get back together with those guys and I just spend the night laughing. So it's a pretty easy group to be around. And I think it's not a coincidence. A lot of those teams that are the funniest guys that you're having the most fun with, you end up having the most success with too.
I agree. And like you said, all the pressure that you deal with, to have guys that in the middle of everything, it's like a hurricane, and everybody's just so focused on performing. Someone says something funny in the locker room or does something funny, and everybody's like,
Yeah, that's huge.
it's just hockey. Let's go out and play. Let's have fun. And when you have that attitude, it's easier to play better too. So it's so important to have guys, you know, to give a lot and just spread the love. You
Yeah,
know,
that's really true.
It's a great feeling in the locker room when guys are happy and doing different things. But I can't really pick one that really stands out. But
Zook?
he's not really a prankster.
He's not,
He
he's
just talks a lot.
Yeah, to you, right? He gives you a lot of, right? But he just,
But no, he
he's more just talks a lot.
gets
like
on my
talk.
nerves sometimes.
Yeah.
It's fun though. He's a great character, and he knows it. You
Yeah.
know, he knows how to get me going too, and that's the tough part. Because
Who told him that secret? How did he know
I
that?
don't know. He figured it out after a year that I was pretty easy to trig, I guess. But that's just
Don't ever trade him.
Hello. This is a question for Henrik. What do you think you're gonna do when you stop playing NHL hockey?
Well, I don't know. It's obviously it's something you think about sometimes. You get that question a lot. I think the biggest thing for me will be, do I stay in the U.S. or do I move back to Sweden? And that will kind of decide, you know, what will I do with my life? And having a baby girl now and, you know, a family, the decision will be even more important. You know, just where did she go to school, and it's a different life to live in Sweden. So, but right now we absolutely love living in New York. So it's a good chance of us staying after my career and try to find something to do. But right now I don't know.
Homes in both places.
Yeah, well, no, for sure. I
Yeah.
will definitely always go back to Sweden. The question is, how much time will I spend there? Right now, it's just the summertime, and that's enough for now. Yeah.
There are 2 women right now playing men's hockey league, Sharon Sabatos and Nora Rady. What do you think the chances are, if at all, of a woman possibly getting to play goal in the NHL?
My dream.
I think if anybody's going to do it, it is Linda.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, I mean, look, that would be the logical position, right? But you look at the athleticism of Serena Williams, or, you know, just go down the list of great athletes, and these are big, strong girls. They're big, strong people that can compete at a lot of levels. I mean, she might be stronger than, you know, a lot of guys that you know, for sure. So it's not always just how physically strong you are. And goaltending isn't about beating up the puck. It's about focus. It's about quickness. It's about strength, for sure, because you're moving your body across that crease. But women can certainly do that. So I don't think that's out of the question at all. I mean, the beautiful thing about sports is it doesn't matter what color you are, what gender you are, or anything else. It's, do you stop the puck or not? And so I think, you know, hopefully it'll always be decided on just that. And if that's the case, then I see no reason why a girl couldn't play. You know, I wouldn't want to be playing tennis against any of the Williams sisters. It's just, there's nothing, there's no dividing line there. It's how good are you? That's it.
All right, we've got the last question back here.
Who's your best rival?
Yeah. Team or player? Like who? Like,
Player.
okay.
Player.
That's
Zuccarello.
He's up there.
He's up there, yeah.
I think a lot of times it's tough to play against your friends
Oh, yeah.
that you know from back home, because they really get on your nerves. A little bit like Zuccarello. When they do have success, when they do score,
Yeah.
they make sure they wait outside the locker room after the game. You know, that was a great move I did on you. Yeah, whatever.
Can you give up a name?
I mean, Sederberg a couple times it happened. Louis Eriksson, who plays in Boston. Now we hang out a lot in Gothenburg during the summer. We practice a lot. So we're going at it every summer. So obviously when we play against each other, you know, it's
That's hilarious.
it's a fight. It's a fight out there. But again, so I love facing great players, though. It's such a great challenge, and going out against the best. That's what you want to do. That's why you want to play in this league. You know, playing in Sweden for so many years and had some success there, it was a lot of fun. But one thing was missing. You wanted to challenge yourself against the best. So coming here and get that opportunity, it was just a great feeling. So every time you play Pittsburgh or play Washington to face off against the best players, that's a great challenge.
You know, as fans, we can see it when you go up against a Crosby and a Malkin and Ovechkin, Washington. You can see it. We can see it through your eyes and through their eyes. Sure. How about you, Mike? How about as a player that you really look forward to facing, or really brought up your game like, wow?
I think it's exactly what Henrik said. It's the way you measure yourself as a player. There's goalies. It's interesting because you have those one-on-one battles. So, you know, a great player like Crosby going up against Lundqvist, I'll pay to see that. That's cool. But you also measure yourself against great teams too, right? For us, when we were in our, you know, at our best, New Jersey was a couple points behind us, and so you knew going in the locker room, you better have your game on going in against them, and that's how you measure yourself, right? The best players in the league, you know, Mario Lemieux and Gretz when he was in his prime. These are guys that you really focus on a bit more. I mean, it's not good enough to win. You don't want your other team to be sick or the best player on the other team to be out of the lineup. That helps you win a series, but it doesn't feel quite as good when you do. So I think it's exactly what Henrik says, is you go find the best player in the league, and that's the guy you want to play and beat.
All right, I think that is it. Do I get that's it? Yep, that is it. That is it. Let's give a round of applause. Henrik Lundqvist and Mike Richter.
Round of applause again, everyone, for Henrik Lundqvist, Mike Richter, and of course, Linda Cohn. Thank you so much for coming.